Good evening, good folks at home. It's the Blakestone back again. Dougie, good to see you. Dougie Hodgson, my erstwhile co-host. Shirt of the week, we've got to talk about that. We've got, honestly, you talk about, there used to be a song, Doug, you may remember this, Bringing Sexy Back, okay? We have got a special guest tonight, and I sincerely am telling you, if you're into eye candy, you will like our special guest tonight. He's seriously.
I think we put a mo on him. He could be anyone's.
He totally could, couldn't he?
He could be.
Anyway, we'll keep that powder dry. We've got a lot of talk to talk about. We'll talk about your shirt. We've also got to talk about this picture, which is now we all know the legend of Doug Hodgson and his hard man reputation, but we have behind us. I think this bears witness to the fact that he wasn't nearly as tough as he would, because not only is he being taken out, look at him off balance, look, he's about to hit the deck, but he's being taken out by Francis Ortiz of all players. Doug, tell me the story of this photograph, and don't embellish, all right? Because we can see it. The proof is here. Kellich is in the background, smiling.
I think I've been hip and shouldered. I think I've been hip and shouldered by Francis. He came in, he's cut me off balance, but if you look at the left leg, it's not finished yet.
Yeah, no,
but to be fair,
I'm saying that you're done.
I think I've grazed a little bit because I'd have been staying on my feet, slide tackle, and that looks like here against Melbourne, Croatia, better known as Melbourne Knights, basically here at Olympic. And Francis and I have to admit we had some great tussles. We got into each other, Francis and I. He did do a short stint apparently at Melbourne Victory. That's working, apparently from Sydney, but now where he is I'm not too sure. And I have to admit, I never got involved actually with talking to the opponents. There was one man that rubbed me up the wrong way.
Who might that have been?
Francis Ortiz. He got under my skin.
I'd be annoyed too if I was taken out by Francis
Ortiz. I wasn't happy. He got under my skin, okay, Francis, but keep smiling. Still love you.
Now, how's your week been?
Been a very hard, tough week.
Yep.
Been working. I've been doing some work with Boost Juice out of Doncaster.
But you might mention Boost Juice.
Just give it a little bit of a wrap. And also, we've done a couple of festivals. We were out at Soundwave, listened to some heavy metal. Tomorrow at a Good Life for all you under 18 kids. Make sure you're Good Life. Come and say hello to us at Boost Juice tomorrow at Flemington Racecourse.
What's doing at Flemington?
A music festival tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic.
So hopefully it's not raining and people want to buy some Boost Juice. If not, I'll be in the coffee business.
And look, just quickly too, we are right smack dab in the middle of the Helena Cup series. Now we're talking about a bloodbath here. Apparently it's a bit of a bloodbath last night. Helena Cup game. Heidelberg Northcote finished 3-3. 3-3. And I'm led to understand there was a couple of Donnybrookes, a couple of stoushes.
Apparently there was a couple of red cards that got shown, one from each team. So listen, it was 10v10, which is great. So 10v10 was good. Then apparently went to the old penalties.
And the penalty result was?
4-3.
4-3 in favour of. Oh, Lex Chandros. Look at this. I've got to shoot him
here. Look at this. Heidelberg United 1958. 50th anniversary, Blake, he's got it on.
I've got it on.
You guys at home?
And I was, when I got out of the car tonight at the Olympic Village, because we're here at the Olympic Village, the proud home of Heidelberg United Alexander, I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then I saw you, and I felt even better about myself.
Well, that's not. I'm not Lex. I was expecting that to go the other way.
I knew you were. But then our special guest has turned up, and I've probably not seen him for a decade, and he looks exactly as he did 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So we're going to get him on board. His name is Theo Selemides, and we'll be speaking to him. And welcome back. And I know, Doug, it's like in terms of self-esteem, this is a real struggle for both of us, because we've got to now look across the table at not only a great champion of the NSL and a great champion of this club, but also a sex symbol, as far as I'm concerned. I believe, Theo Selemides, that we have never had somebody looking so refreshing.
Wow.
Well, we did have Jeff Holmer last week, so no disrespect, J.O., we love you.
No, we all love Jeff.
And we miss you, Coley.
Oh, look, I'll take the compliment, okay? Put it that way. Thank you very much.
You look fantastic, mate. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you, Greg, and Dougie.
Good to see you, mate. Looking sharp.
Doug a couple of weeks ago at the function that we had.
How was the function?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. The only sad thing was, and I think we had a quick discussion on this, that there's so many familiar, friendly, teammates. That, like, who do you spend more time with? Because you want to spend at least an hour with everyone, but it ended up being like, a few minutes here, and sometimes just a pat on the back.
Well, I'll do what I did, we've done a couple of times, and it really fascinates me, because, you had a really rich career in the NSL. When you went back on the night, which particular moments do you think evoked some real emotion, you know, things that you just went, I'd even forgotten that had happened.
Look, I think as far as championships and stuff, really it eluded me, even though, you know, I felt I had a good career and I enjoyed all my time in NSL, but there wasn't an actual championship apart from the top 4 final, which was a huge thing.
Yep.
But officially it wasn't, you know, a championship. I managed to be in 2 teams that finished top of the table. That was with Melbourne Knights, but that wasn't considered the championship at the time.
Yep.
We had to have the finals, and yet we ended up going to the finals and losing twice on penalties. So that was a bit tough, but you know.
Could you imagine me and you playing against Liverpool for that? I still struggle there to get my head around the top playoffs. I know it's a revenue for the clubs, and I understand it. Imagine Liverpool finishing, Man U first, Liverpool second. Oh, sorry guys, top 5 and they're going to play on.
I'm going to debate this just quickly. All right, I don't want to be sidetracked, but
The best team won the year.
No, I would argue. I'm going to put this out. I'll open the discussion. Played over the course of the season, the most consistent team finishes on top. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best team. How can you possibly tell me that if the top team loses 4 matches for the year, home and away to second and home and away to third, are they really champions? You want to do it on the day, on the ground, under the rules of the game, in my opinion.
There's arguments both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Discussions of which is a good opinion. That's a fair point.
I just always thought there's something marvellous there. I'll meet you there. They don't decide the 100 metres Olympic champion by relative record against common opponents. They decided on the day, on a straight run.
If you've won every game and you've got to the end of the season and you've won it, you're the best team.
Good discussion. I want to talk to the handsome man.
Yeah, I do too.
And
a legend
and
play for Australia too.
And play for Australia as well. Let's talk about the Australian experience, because I guarantee, and in fact, because it's been so long since I've been out of the system, but I'd actually forgotten, but you did play around about 10 games for Australia.
Look, I think officially, as far as A internationals being, you know, against the country, it was 7. But in total, if you also count B internationals, because I played about 3 games against.
Did you get caps for them there?
We did get about 2 years ago. I received a cap, which showed the country that I made my first international against, which was incorrect, by the way, because it actually said against England at the SCG, which looks a lot better.
Yeah, England.
But it was a match in Noumea somewhere, probably against England. New Zealand or something.
Against England, it was against England.
So officially, my hat says against England, so I was happy about that.
There's a nice touch, at least, that they were, you know, offering me.
So I think it was 17 matches that I played with the Socceroos.
Who was the coach at the time?
Well, in that whole time was Rudy Guttendorf, and there was a lot of jokes about, you know, everybody got international games with him. But I was fortunate enough to have him in the youth, Australian youth team, so he knew quite a bit about us, and it just was a natural flow, and I was lucky enough to be picked with the seniors. Look, I've played with a lot of good players over the years, a lot of excellent players that really didn't make international appearances, and vice versa, I guess, you know.
Now, I believe there was a goal.
There was only 1 goal, but I'll take it.
Hang on, you were a defender midfield, to be fair, so...
Well, actually, Doug, after my 24th year, I started to be tested. Yeah, I was always a midfielder. Okay. I was a midfielder, usually on the right.
Yep.
Yeah, so at that stage, I was playing as a midfielder, so... Yeah, and that was against Greece.
Even better.
So, and I still haven't seen it actually as a replay. There's a few players, Jamie Payton, I think Gary Cole. You know, I think they've got it. They've got it.
Yep.
But I haven't seen it. And,
okay, that'd be nice.
I don't think it was really much of a goal.
No. Can you remember?
Well, it was a header. I remember that, and it would have been. Look, as I said, I really don't have any visualising about it.
We're going to paint a picture. Theo Selemides, balls came over from the left. He's came down the M1 Porsche. He's flying in there, flying back header, back post.
I think it was a diving header from 25 metres.
And lobbed the keeper. Get that one into you. So we've got a picture there, and that's where it's staying.
Yep, that's right.
You had a terrific career, though. I mean, 300 odd games, near enough to 300 games in the NSL.
Well, near enough, closer to 400.
Closer to 400.
394
Well, that would make
games.
me see how much I've forgotten.
That's
This
all
is
right.
what-
Look, you can't remember
Could
everything.
you, like, it was 394, 390, was there the tape to get that extra 4 games?
Well, you know
as an
what,
ambition?
Doug, I'm sure it's the same with you because you played many years
Yeah.
and you have lots of ups and downs.
Yes.
Nothing's smooth for any
No, it's a
player,
hilly road,
of course. And I'd already had quite a few
hilly.
ups and downs, and by that stage, I think I was still at Heidelberg. I've ended up my career back at Heidelberg in the NSL, and with Dougie.
94.
And at the end of the year, I asked the coach if he wants me or he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he requested, that was Shekulada,
Yeah.
remember him?
Little Shecky.
And he said, no, we don't want him. So it made my decision easy.
Yeah.
And then he ended up leaving the club, and then there was, I think, Mike Uricalo or something.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Did
yeah,
he
yeah,
come
came
back
Yes.
up there?
Yes.
And I received a phone call a few months later saying, you know, would you like to come to the training? But at that stage, I'd already sort of made my mind up.
It's a shame, really, because that's an achievement by any player at any standard in any league, especially in the National League at 400 games.
It's
That's a
good.
milestone.
And it's actually probably a good segue into the question that we ask quite regularly of our guests when we're looking back. 400 games in the NSL, most of them terrific games as well, by the way. Oh, gosh, you're good looking. Terribly
Coley's
intimidating.
gonna
I'm comfortable in my... No, forget about Gary Cole.
Coley's going
Coley's
to
off the radar.
get. Coley's going to get. He's going to go a little bit.
It's off the radar. Theo Selemides is the new...
Yeah, he's in.
Theo, look, you know, what's been your journey since you exited the game? And more importantly, when you look at the way that domestic football has gone and the kind of dismissal of the whole NSL thing, making almost, you know, your 400 games almost irrelevant, as if it didn't exist. Does that rankle with you, or...?
Not really, because I don't really feel that they've made me feel that way.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure Dougie, you know,
Which is,
I don't think there's any disrespect from, except that we're not involved in it,
Yeah.
as in the Heidelbergs and the Marconis, etc. But look, I don't feel anything in that regard. I'm getting off the track here.
No, that's fine.
standard.
The standard, look.
So the,
Um,
how do you see it?
Yeah, I hear a lot of the old players saying, "Oh, the standard, you know, it was so much better and all this." But look, I really don't subscribe to that, you
Yeah.
know, because in between some ordinary games that we've seen, and I'm a Victory member,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times I'm really disappointed in what I see, and it's not because I'm thinking, "Oh, in the old days we played like this." We had lousy games in the old days too, you know, but there's some great players at the moment. Like, look at Archie Thompson. You know, he's been doing very well in the course of the season, not necessarily this season, and there's other players, but on the whole, you know, I am a little bit disappointed. Yeah.
I think it's marketed. We talk about it on a weekly. I think it's marketed correctly. It's great for the game.
Yeah.
It's something Australia needs. There's no question about that.
That's right.
Playing wise, and Kevin Muscat's a great friend of mine. You know, Muskie, one of the best players in the A League as of last year.
Yeah.
So what does it tell you?
Mm.
You know, and that's just a picture.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know, and Kevin's great pro, been great for the country. But I just, you know, it could be a little bit better. And I just look at not my era. I go back to when you were in your primes. You know, when you were playing for Australia. Not mine, because I think I got the last. I think the National League tapered off a little bit when I came
But
in.
you feel there was a lot of players that had already left?
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
watching the NSL, the old NSL, unbelievable. Because I remember it, you know, and the players that came in from overseas.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about. I mean, you can't take 100, at the moment there's nearly 140 of our best young players overseas. You can't take 140 players
Out of Australia.
a competition.
That's right.
And
still have a-
if you took away the top 140 AFL players or basketball players from the NBL, the competition goes down. Yes, I couldn't agree more. It was the time when players just started to automatically go overseas.
And that was from the European, it was all, you know, different nationalities,
That's right,
and the
yeah.
European, technically brilliant, you
Yeah.
know, and I still remember it, you know, as a
Yeah,
kid.
right.
So what about yourself? Have you got a moment in there that you think you're...
Well, let's call it a special moment.
Special moment?
We'll call it a
Well, look,
Peter's suspension moment, can we? So just hang in there. I need you to be really articulate and thoughtful in just a moment about your idea, because this is the Peter's suspension
Okay.
moment. Thank you, Doug. Let's do it again. The Pettis suspension
moment.
is good. 638 Waterdale Road, Heidelberg Heights. There's a Heidelberg Heights. Oh, there must be, because it's a lower Heidelberg, of course, it stands to reason. Brakes, suspension, service, all those sort of things that you might do to a motor car if you felt that you wanted to keep it in top shape. 9458 2555, that's easy. Pettis suspension. What's the number again, Dougie?
Phone 9458 2555. You need something a bit trimmed, serviced, don't come to me and Blakey. See Theo, cool, looking good, go to Pettis suspension.
So the Pettis suspension, Theo Selemides special moment that resonates across the generations.
Now, you're obviously talking my personal.
Your personal.
Well, look, it's hard to go past winning the top 4 final in Canberra against Sydney City. It was 4-0 in the end. I think I just turned 21, or was about to the following week. Following the game, I was told that I'd be going on the world tour with the Socceroos as one of the last 1 or 2 players. So really, as far as an individual moment, it'd be hard to top that.
Yeah.
And then once on the tour, well, there's a few moments. I think I'm going a bit overboard, but playing against Greece in Athens and scoring a goal.
That was. I'm just.
That was like all within the space
of
of
3-3 game, wasn't it?
That was 3-3, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Came on. It could have been the winner, but there was a hometown penalty decision. Put it this way,
So
right at the end,
we're
and
not
they
talking,
equalised.
it was a question mark.
Yeah, but anyway, everyone was happy, and after all, I have got my Greek background, so.
That's, which is even better.
And I would have thought one of the other highlights is just getting up and looking in the mirror every day.
Oh, look, we all have good days and bad, I guess.
So do you do fitness work now yourself? Did you have much injuries playing there? Your body's
Look, we all had injuries, you know, whether it was scars in the head and the eyes and things. And, minor knee problems like medial ligaments, few weeks, ankle injuries, plenty of those. I've got a very swollen ankle. Everyone who sees it, they think, "Oh, what's that?" You know. No, there's nothing. It's just like that, and it feels fine. You know.
So can you run now?
Yeah, I can run. Yeah,
that's good.
I can run pretty fast for an old bloke.
For an old boy, because you find a lot of people in that. You get to your age of basically you finish your career and the injuries.
Look, I'm fortunate with the injuries. So and I'm working at it. There's some players who are a bit unlucky with the type of injuries they've had, and it is harder. Yeah. But I guess there's always something. You can maybe ride a bike or swimming. Yes.
Me and Thorpe's got a lot in common. Thorpe's on top of the pool. I'm down below trying to
put some lap time in.
Now, did you say you did 30 laps?
30 laps. That's 25-metre pool.
That's unbelievable.
Little kiddie wave pool.
It was only 2 kicks and I was at the end. There's no roll. Just kick back. Which was brilliant, but now at the moment you're still involved in the game?
Look, just with a local junior soccer club, Heatherton United. I've got the under-15s there, and I've been coaching there a couple of years, and I've had a few other junior clubs. Look, it's mainly been junior clubs.
Yep. See development. You see some good kids coming through.
Look. I honestly think there's a tremendous amount of talent out there. I think it depends on how the coaching sees them and what they look in players and how they approach matches. And look, I've always loved, and I'm sure we all do, attacking soccer. Now, that does not mean we don't defend, but why can't we have these kids who are talented, but just to get them to understand how important the attacking sense is, and attacking the space, the gaps and all that, but fighting for the ball, There's no secret about formations and that. You all attack from right back and left back, even the stoppers, and we used to get forward. Right? And you all fight to win the ball back as well.
Going forward, by the way. Theo, and I was lucky to play with Theo. I remember him coming out, and he was very comfortable on the ball. He was very comfortable, had great technique, and I was a bit raw, as we know. So he'd come out and comfortable, very raw.
Well, but he spent a few years in Britain, and they don't just take anyone over there.
I got a little bit unraw at the end, which was good. But it's funny you say that, because the Dutch have came into Australia, and they've changed the system to 5-4-1, or they're playing 5-4-1-1, or whichever way they want to play the system. But they're basically, and I believe they're actually asking from the drop off to the halfway line.
Yeah.
You know, I find that's more defensive.
Yes.
You know, because me as a coach, and anyone who's played under me or I've coached, I actually like to coach I like to defend in the final third.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to turn a ball over, you might as well turn it over there, more chance of closer to goal.
Exactly.
Which is easy to
Yes.
say.
No, I agree with you, Doug.
So do you find have you had any of that in place with the 15s, or are you allowed to?
Look, let's face it. It's a small club, and there's no pressures on me, and it's easy to say, you know, let's just attack. You know, I tell my players, probably sometimes too much.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, my game training sessions, there's mainly it's game situation.
Yep.
You know, plenty of the ball.
Which is a way.
You know, take players on all the time. It helps the defenders because they're being exposed to attacking coming towards them. So what are they going to do? They've got to defend, right?
So it works. Anyway.
That's right. And yeah.
Which is good to see. So is your son involved at there? Because I know your
I
oldest son.
I do have a
involved.
younger son that's there, yes.
So by the way, all you ladies out there thinking about what Blakey's thinking, he's married, couple of kids, can't help you.
very, very happily married, thank you very much.
Got two.
I've got a 14-year-old young son, and I've got a 15-year-old daughter who also plays for the school.
Three.
And a 20-year-old son.
Which I got to know through the private schools and coming across each other.
And he's actually training with Port Melbourne at the moment.
Brilliant.
So,
Has he got the Theo Selemides?
Look, you know what? Every parent, you know, rates their children.
Yes.
All right, and sometimes you think, well, you know, what's different about me? You know, I think he's got a lot of talent. Look, if I said to you, Dougie, I've got someone who's 6'4", who's quick, who's got some good skills, why wouldn't you
look at him?
Look at him. Anyway, he's quite happy there at the moment, and hopefully he'll, you know, get game time.
What interests me too, Dougie, in the last couple of weeks, our guests have been wonderful. It just makes the time fall away, doesn't it? Because I'd love to sit here and talk some more. I'm going to get some one-word answers from you in a minute. All right, and you're going to do it, Theo. You're going to come through for me, but not before we discuss culinary needs. Now, for example, if you and I, Doug, were to ever be out publicly together and wish to have something to eat, and that's never going to happen, by the way, big man. I'm so sorry.
Bakery, cafes.
I'm the Francis of Warrateeth.
That sounds nice. Like those names.
This is a lovely place. Chimmy's Cafe, Bakery and Restaurant. And there's two of them. There's 342 Bridge Road in Richmond and 789 Glenfrey Road in Hawthorn. What are those addresses again, Doug? I hear you ask.
I can see them. They're in Bridge Road in Richmond at number 342 and 789 in Glenfrey Road, Hawthorn. You can phone 9427 1391 if you need maybe a pie made, you need a little bit of maybe some deliveries. Not too sure if they do it. But
they may now. They may now. Yeah. So we've got to put pressure, exactly.
Squeeze it, pressure there.
We've got to say thanks to Chimmy's and to Pettis for supporting the locker room because you know we're on a shoestring budget. That's why we've employed Doug Hodgson clearly. Theo Selemides, our very, very special guest. We're fast running out of time. 3 questions on the run. Theo, best coach, most influential coach on your career, best player you played alongside, and the best opponent that you faced along the journey.
Ooh, tough one. All right, so best coach. Look, for some reason it always comes back to my first junior coach, who happened to be a Chilean international, who was a defender against Pelé. His name was Oscar Montalva. This was South Melbourne Juniors, Juniors Reserves. So that was my best coach. I really, you know, I learned so much from him at a pretty young age. That's not to say disrespect to the others, but you know, he just came to mind. So, and I always used to say that in the early days. Best player that I played with as a teammate. Look,
with the obvious exception.
That's right. He was at the end of there, was finishing his career when I was a little boy.
That's right.
He played with some legends.
Look, it's hard to say. When I first came to Heidelberg, my hero was Branko Buljovic. Being an international and whatever, he was a classy player here for a few
number
years.
11 for about 3 years, I reckon.
Yeah, well, he was here for the 3 years, and then he went on again. But you know, obviously, you know, as a goal scorer, you know, an exciting player to be around, and a good guy too. Gary Cole, it's hard to
Love you, Gaz. Love you. We miss you, Gaz. We want you on the show.
Now, what was
and the best opponent, the opponent that you probably on a regular basis, not just in a one-off game, but something along the journey. That
There were many tussles, really.
Look, I've played against Alan Davidson a few times. Look, he was one of the best players for sure, but he's not the one. I remember for some reason Zarkov was Preston Blacktown, yes, recall him. Yeah, look, I recall him. Look, there's just so many. It's really hard to put it out there, but I guess we'll stick with those two for now. Sounds good. Theo, it has been an absolute pleasure to see you. And I'm actually not being facetious in any way when I say you are the first person I've come, because I've been out of the game for a long time now. I've seen, and you look exactly as you. I must have looked pretty old when I was young. No, you've really been in a good paddock. I don't know what you. Do you have like a facial raise? No.
It's the Greek.
Oh,
that's what it is. It's the sun that comes.
So it's been wonderful to have you. If you'd stick around while we top the show off, we've got to do Doug's shirt of the week. I don't know if you've watched The Locker Room before. I have watched it a couple of times. Doug's eclectic career, or right across the board, he brings in one of his shirts and he manages to squeeze into a couple as well, which is fantastic.
There is one that I did bring tonight, and unfortunately I couldn't get it on. Okay, so we went with this one.
So this
one's from Sarawak. This was in 1997, went from Australia all the way back to the UK. We went into Singapore pre-season and then into Malaysia. And Alan Vest was at Sarawak at that time. And basically, after the game, we swapped shirts. And the best story about that one is we actually done a pre-season. Half it was in a swimming pool, playing head tennis in a pool. Howard Kendall, the keg, was the manager then. And we're playing, there was one man out, we're playing volleys, and me with a touch of an elephant, basically second touch of a tackle, was probably in the pool a fair bit more than out because they had to give it back to us. But this shirt that day and that week was in there. We had I won't name names, it was 4 boys escaped from the campus. They escaped, they actually left the campus and went into town. So they've gone into town and they're in the nightclub where they shouldn't be. You're not one of these boys. I was not one of them, to be honest with you. There was one that I remember, there was a big goanna in the hotel coming at us, a big long thing with 4 legs just creeping through. Anyway, so I couldn't get out of the room. You're not going to forget. So anyway, they've gone out, we never forgot, they came back the next day and I said, hey boys, how'd it go? I said, you know what's happened? They said, we came out of this nightclub, it was absolutely shocking. Gone to the cabbies and given him, I think they'd got 50 quid, so we've been $100, so mate, take us somewhere else, will you? They took us somewhere else, apparently the cabbies took them around the block, came back, dropped them off, they walked back in this place is buzzing, it was the same place. That was the story in Sarawak, it was brilliant, and I'm not telling them that one of them players did play at Liverpool. I'll leave it at that.
All right. There you go. So Dougie's shirt of the week. There's a story behind all the shirts. Now, in another couple of seconds, you go back to your porn or your internet gaming or whatever you nerds do. In the meantime, we'll return next week. Just while we're handing out credits, Doug, not only just the research, Doug, you are so good at this now, and I'm starting to really enjoy working with you, and you need plaudits for that.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Dougie.
Thank you.
And Theo Selemides, one of the great.
Lovely to see you again, Greg.
Yes, thank you.
And Dougie, likewise.
I'll probably see you this year. Okay. We're around again. Normally we run into each other once a year, don't we?
Yeah.
And travels, and hopefully we'll have a reunion again so we can spend a bit more time, chat about and have a few more beers. And that's
we might have one afterwards.
Done.
Theo Selemides, our special guest. We will return next week. Doug will have shirt of the week. Hopefully I'll still be able to drag myself out of the crypt for another one of those programs. It's been terrific to have your pleasure. We don't know any of you and we don't probably care all that much, but it's been terrific. No. We do it. We care. Oh, we care. We totally. Of course we do. If you're Gary Cole, we care a lot. A lot of man love. Miss you guys. We'll see you next week, guys.